Welcome to the Get Real with King Arthur show. Well, bless your little hearts, you're still with us. Anyway, we're going to spring off from our last show on the ladder of abstraction. And remember, the ladder of abstraction, to get stuck in it, means that you are very abstract in your words or very specific. Preachers and politicians tend to be way high on the ladder of abstraction, talking about Americanism and prosperity and righteousness and love and whatnot. And oftentimes, day laborers get stuck way at the bottom. They talk about items without making generalities. But you need to move up and down an abstraction and then illustrate it with some specifics down the ladder. So anyway, it led me to talk about 10 other dirty little errors in thinking. So we have 11 dirty little errors in thinking. And you may find yourself guilty, and I'm not sure I'll cover them all today, perhaps some tomorrow. Now, and there's no particular order for them, so we'll start with inadequate authority. And let me give an example. I heard a woman say, my sister said that a woman in Watertown, New York, said that Pope John the 23rd was a communist. Now, what woman, what authority does she have to know about church matters? Some woman in Watertown, New York. Whom are you quoting? Is the person an authority? Or just somebody popping off ideas? And you need to not listen to some speaker somewhere and just quote him. You need to check your sources. See who is saying it. Do they have credentials? Are they part of a larger organization? Do people know about them? Do they have reason to be authorities? So don't listen to me about hearing aids, because I'm no authority on them, bless your heart. I'm not going to say anything about them. So, inadequate authority. Whom are you quoting? Oh, the dirty little 11. I could sing about the dirty little 11, errors in reasoning. Well, let's find out another dirty little error, and that is the red herring. Now, not absolutely sure of the etymology of the red herring, but it goes something like this. The head resident of a dormitory calls in a student because his room is unkempt and messy. So he says, Bill, your room is not tidy. You need to tidy it up. And Bill's response is, what about the Coke machine? It's not working right. Now, wait a minute. We're not on the Coke machine. It's a diversion. We're talking about his dirty room. So it's a red herring must be something that diverts your attention from what you're talking about. So especially if the person being accused feels guilty, he brings up some other thing, someone else's guilt. The Coke machine is not working. Or you say you weren't paying your taxes. Well, I don't like the way my taxes are spent. Well, that's immaterial. Every citizen must pay taxes. The red herring. So we have the stuck in the ladder of abstraction, inadequate authority, the red herring. Well, let's find another dirty little 11. The dirty little 11 is read me one, Queen Victoria, on the list.
Some to all.
Some to all. Well, it's a perversion of the syllogism. Here's a syllogism. There are 3 items. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore he is mortal. Well, that works out, doesn't it? Because all men are mortal. But if you say men are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. Not necessarily so. Some men may be mortal, doesn't say all men. So your thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, that's the order of a syllogism. Your thesis is not all. So you can't can't judge Socrates' life extent because from the thesis, from the first statement. So if you said, let's see, if you say men are from Mars, women from Venus, all men are from, so if you say Bill is a man, he's from Mars, you know that book. You say men are stronger than women. Are they? All men? Not so. So you jump from some to all. You say, some religious people are superstitious, or religious people are superstitious. All religious people? Well, I'm a religious person. I don't think I'm terribly superstitious. That's a common one, my dear friends, jumping from some to all. Read us another one, Queen Victoria.
40 million Frenchmen.
40 million Frenchmen can't be wrong. Yes, they can. This is a trick that often children play on their parents. The parent says, we have a curfew at 11 p.m. So the kid says, well, everybody, all the other kids have till 12. Well, that doesn't mean it's right, does it? And the great philosopher in the 19th century said even one person may be right and 40 million Frenchmen wrong. Everybody's doing. You ever hear that? Well, I don't know. People are living together without being married. Everybody's doing it. Well, does that mean it's right, does it? Everybody thinks so and so. Everybody thinks that Pepsis are superior to Coke. No, even if 40 million Frenchmen prefer Pepsi, that doesn't mean that it's better than Coke. Everybody's doing it. Boy, that's a nice one, isn't it? To get by with something that's wrong. Well, everybody cheats. No. I don't care if everybody does that. That means you have a right to cheat, does it? 40 million Frenchmen. Another one, Queen Victoria, dirty little 11.
Inappropriate analogy.
All right. If you say an analogy is comparing a concrete thing with an abstraction. So you say the nature supports living things. Well, so if you say crops need rain for nature to grow, I need money to live. I don't think that's true. I was talking to I used to teach one night a week at the penitentiary in Idaho, and I was talking to a young man. He said, I said, I'm getting out of prison in 2 weeks. I said, good. I'll be back. Well, what do you mean you'll be back? Well, I'll get a job at the Thunderbird Motel, and the owner will come in with a big Cadillac, and I can't stand it. I'll rob him. I said, did you ever hear about the writer Henry David Thoreau that lived on $2.50 for the whole year? Of course, that was in the 19th century. So that's not, it is true that a plant must have water, but it is not necessarily true that you need money. That's probably a little difficult one to get a hold of. Let's see if we can think of another one. Well, since we're on rivers, all rivers end up in a body of water. Well, that's true. Therefore, I'm like a river, and I can end up wherever I choose. No, you can't. That analogy does not extend. And I may come back to that one. You may email and say, you weren't clear enough. I'll do one more. And then we'll save the rest of the dirty little 11 until next week. What's another one?
Name calling.
Oh. We call it argument ad hominem. Now, just because a person, supposing a person is arguing for, let's say, a person is arguing for a reduction in taxes. Well, you say that, and she is talking to someone who says we need higher taxes. And so the person who says we don't need higher taxes said to the person who advocates some higher taxes, well, I heard that you're addicted to smoking. Well, now, that does not mean that the argument is invalid. What if it's a murderer? That doesn't mean everything he says is invalid. If he says, I'll tell you how to fix a leaky faucet. Well, you say, you're a murderer. Well, listen to you. Well, no. And so you call a name calling does not necessarily affect the message. No, sometimes it does. But if you call a person who is a conservative a fascist, or calls a person who is a liberal as a communist, well, this is name calling, inaccurate, and just smirching someone else with someone else's opinion by holding what he says against him, his argument. Well, that doesn't follow. John Stuart Mill is the essayist in the 19th century who said, even though one person holds an opinion that no one else has, he should not be forbidden to speak. He might have an answer. So that was his argument for the freedom of speech. Very crucial and influential. Well, now go out and do not, I warn you, to commit any of those dirty little 11 rascals. And we'll continue with the dirty little 11 next week. Thanks for listening.